Okay, so let's talk about framing. Okay, first off, again, I make my students guess so you can play along. Choose from the following subscription options to Psychology Today. Okay, this was an actual experiment. I substituted the name Psychology Today. They had used some kind of journal. And here are your choices. You can get an internet-only subscription for $59, a print-only subscription for $125, or a print and internet subscription for $125. The question is, which alternative do you think the participants in the study were more likely to choose? Well, it turns out that because of this setup and this framing, this setup having these three options caused the participants really to focus on options 1 and 3. They really ignored the print only, because why would you want print only if you could have print plus internet for the same price? So it really came down to, okay, it's between internet only and print and internet, and people were much more likely, so they ignored the print subscription, and they're much more likely to select the print and internet. It seemed like a bargain to them. So people in that framing situation where the problem was set up so that they would focus on only the two outside ones and make a comparison like that, people were more likely to spend the $125 for the print plus internet. Okay, so now, well, let's just go ahead and take out the middle choice then, right? Same exact question, but now we've got a choice of internet only versus print and internet, same exact problem, but now the participants' attention was really drawn to the difference in the price. And that caused them to say, oh, that costs way too much. I'm going to go ahead and go with the internet only option. The way that the problem is set up can cause us to focus on one thing or another and ignore, again, the base rate or the actual probability of something or the actual value of something. And we can make incorrect decisions based on how the problem was set up. Okay, here's another example of that. Okay, so you have a choice between a sure gain of $240. You're playing some kind of gambling or something like that. So you have a guarantee that you're going to win $240. Or you can take a chance, a 25% chance of winning $1,000 and a 75% chance of winning nothing. So what you're choosing between is walking away with your $240 or gambling for a chance at $1,000 with a really high probability of ending up with nothing. Most participants given this choice will take the sure gain of $240. Again, you see this in game shows all the time where they've got a certain amount of money, they aren't sure that they know the answer to the next question, or they have to make their decision before they even get to see the question, whether they're going to continue on and they're going to be risking what they've earned so far. They'll say, I'll just take my money and leave, right? Because the people will tend to take the sure gain and avoid the risky probability of losing something. Now, the truth is, statistically, A and B are the same statistically over the long run. A sure gain of $240, over the long run, 25% of 1,000 is $240. But you really don't get a long run chance on winning it, do you? You get one chance. You've got a 25% chance of winning $1,000. Okay, how about decision 2? You have to choose between a sure loss of $750 or a 75% chance of losing $1,000 and a 25% chance of losing nothing. Now in this circumstance, what do you think people picked? Most people picked D in this circumstance. They wanted a chance to lose nothing. People tend to be very loss averse. People don't want to fork over $750 if there's a chance that they might not have to give anything. So when we're given free money, no strings attached in decision A, people tend to take it. They don't want to possibly lose what feels like a bird in the hand, right? They've got the $240. If I gamble and don't get anything in decision B, I'm going to really be kicking myself because I had $240 and now I've got nothing. So they don't want to lose what they perceive to be already their $240. It's exactly the opposite in decision 2. I already have $750, I'm going to have to give it to you, versus I might have to give you more, but I might not have to give you anything. And I want that chance to not have to give you anything. So our loss aversion causes us to make different decisions depending on how the problem was framed. Okay. I'm wearing you out on your logic this chapter, so I hope you're still bearing with me with all these examples. Okay, so you've just handed in a difficult exam. You'll know, let's say maybe it's your Psych 209 exam. You've just handed in a difficult exam. You'll know the day after tomorrow whether you passed or failed. You are offered a real bargain in the form of a vacation in Hawaii for less than $200. Hey, and you just won $240 in that last problem, right? But you have to decide by tomorrow and hand in a non-reimbursable deposit of $50. You can put off the decision for a day, by which time you will know for sure whether you passed or failed, for an additional $15, which is neither reimbursable nor deducted from the total price of your package. What do you decide to do? If you're thinking to yourself, what does the exam have to do with whether I'm going to Hawaii? Do I get to retake the exam? You're looking back through it trying to figure out where's the trick here. Congratulations, you did not display irrational prudence. A lot of people do, though. A lot of people look at that problem and they say, I better, just to be on the safe side, I better put the $15 down and hold off for a day to find out how I did on the exam. I think the more logical thing is some of my students will say, well, if I go to Hawaii and while I'm there, look at my grades on my cell phone and find out that I failed the exam, well, I'll console myself in Hawaii. And if I look at my grades while I'm there and I see that I passed, I can celebrate in Hawaii. So it sort of seems like Hawaii is the solution no matter what the outcome, right? Some people display irrational prudence, and because we're so loss averse, we're sometimes scared to take opportunities when they present themselves. We don't look at the probability of certain outcomes. We only focus on the negative outcome and ignore the positives that might come from it. So in conclusion, first off, I just have to tell you, I love this chapter because I'm a cognitive psychologist, and so even if it has nothing else to do with research methods, I love this chapter, so I have to talk about it, right? But the thing that you should be taking away from this is that, the combination of these kinds of thinking errors that we display, the way that the problem is framed for us, the way it's presented to us, the frame, whether we're distracted by what seems like, oh, that's inexplicable, that's a miracle, what is that? Those things together lead to errors in probabilistic reasoning. And errors in probabilistic reasoning are the things that make us embrace pseudoscience, that make us fear the wrong things. Because we think if it's easy to think of, it must happen a lot. Wow, that's really scary and it's going to get me. My current thing right now, it's summer 2015 for people who are listening. And I've been seeing on the news that they've got this infectious disease called MERS in Asia. And, it's like hardly anybody there has it anyway. The probability of it coming over here is really small. Yet, what do you think I'm scared of? This thing that no one has. Yep, I'm going to get it. Those errors in probabilistic reasoning, I think I've mentioned in my lectures before that I'm great while doing science, but just like anyone else, I can show these same kinds of errors. These errors in probabilistic reasoning cause us to ignore important facts. And of course, if you're doing research, if you're trying to explain human behavior, you can't be ignoring relevant facts. You need to be paying attention to the things that are important and ignoring the things that are irrelevant. So those are the things that we need to take away from this chapter. All right, so we're done with chapter 10. Thank you for listening.